What's good, everybody? Appreciate you checking in. Obviously, my scenery is a little different. I'm actually on a business trip, but lately I've been seeing some things on social media that's heating up, and I just want to come on here and kind of talk about it. So I'm going to put up a screenshot real quick of a poll that I've been seeing on social media. And if you look here, the poll basically asks, you know, who do you want to see as the next Raiders head coach? For 8,000 people voted, and somehow John Gruden has made this list. And that's something I want to talk about. Usually I don't want to feed too much into things, but the name keeps coming up with John Gruden, and just want to kind of give you my opinion about it. So, but before I get into it, please, if you could, like the video, subscribe, turn on those notifications. But if you do any of this three, please like the video and throw some comments down below as I kind of go through this video. And the first one I'm going to ask is, do you want John Gruden as the next head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to kind of go through like 5 or 6 scenarios and examples as to why I really don't think John Gruden should be the next head coach. This isn't one of the 5 or 6, but to start out right out the box, I couldn't believe when he walked from Khalil Mack. That was, for me, I wanted Khalil Mack as our first round draft pick the year that we got him. And for John Gruden to let him walk, I think was a massive mistake. So in the comments down below, let me know, do you think letting Khalil Mack walk was a mistake? Let me know in the comments below. But number one, I think right out the box, he was a horrible evaluator of talent. I think that's first and foremost. As the Raiders head coach, he had 7 first-round draft picks. And I know he hit on some, right? We got Josh Jacobs. I don't necessarily blame too much of the Henry Ruggs thing. Guys make mistakes. It's as simple as that. But Henry Ruggs was a very, very talented player. But you can't convince me that Damon Arnett was a first-round draft pick. You can't convince me that Cleveland Farrell was worth a top 10 draft pick. Can't do it. Alex Leatherwood. Alex Leatherwood was a pick that not only did I think it was dumb, but the commentators online, the analysts that were on TV that draft day were speechless when Gruden picked Alex Leatherwood because no one projected him to go that high. Jonathan Abram wasn't a first-round pick. I mean, we wasted so many first-round picks that's why. That's why we are in the position that we are. Not just because of Gruden, obviously, Josh McDaniels and that whole mess, but that has not helped. And in order to be a successful program, franchise, or football team, you have to nail on the majority of your picks. And John Gruden wasted the majority of our first-round draft picks. And if you think about it, we did hit on some, right? We hit on Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, Nate Hobbs. There were some picks that were good, that were some sleepers that we were able to get later in the rounds. But in my opinion, and based on what I've heard over the years, is Mike Mayock really handled the later round picks. So I think Mike Mayock was more responsible for some of the better talent that we have come up with. Look at Trayvon Moehrig. Trayvon Moehrig was a second-round draft pick. I actually wanted Trayvon in the first round when he was picked, but we picked Alex Leatherwood. I think Mike Mayock was more responsible for some of the better picks that we've gotten through those Gruden years. So, and then he was horrible. Again, sometimes you win, right? But he was horrible in free agency. Corey Littleton, horrible. LaMarcus Joyner, horrible. Trent Brown, horrible. And then do I have to mention Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown was probably one of the biggest mistakes in probably free agency history. I mean, Antonio Brown basically played John Gruden and Mike Mayock and somehow got the Raiders to trade for him from Pittsburgh But Antonio Brown found his way to the Patriots. It wasn't a secret that Antonio Brown wanted to play with Tom Brady, and he found his way over there. Antonio Brown played John Gruden and Mike Mayock better than I've ever seen in free agency. And to me, that just shows they just had no clue as to what they were doing. So when it comes to free agency, I think look, you got some diamonds, right? Darren Waller. If Darren Waller didn't have the injury history that he had, then yes, that's definitely a huge pickup. But the amount of players that they missed on and made huge mistakes. I mean, Trent Brown was a horrible free agency pickup, just horrible. And Antonio Brown played them better than I've ever seen. And then he was a horrible evaluation of coaches. He brought in Paul Guenther as our defensive coordinator. Horrible defensive coordinator. Gus Bradley, one of the most conservative defensive coordinators I've ever seen, and just was not a good defensive coordinator with us in Oakland, well, mainly the Las Vegas Raiders. But he was just so conservative that it hurt to watch our defense perform on game days. But that was Gruden's guy. That's who Gruden brought in, and he let Paul Guenther go. And that was his replacement, was Gus Bradley. So I don't think John Gruden knows how to even create a offensive staff. And then Greg Olsen was our offensive coordinator. He brings in Greg Olsen. Now, mind you, Gruden was the offensive coordinator, and I understand that. But then he brings in Greg Olsen, and Greg Olsen is not a good offensive coordinator either. He's not a good offensive mind. Everywhere he's gone, he has not found success. He was even with Carr earlier when Carr first came onto the Raiders and failed then. Now, mind you, Carr was earlier in his career, and so I believe Carr was a rookie when Greg Olsen was with the Raiders. But look, he's a horrible evaluator of talent. Again, like I said, all the later draft picks, I think were of the stories that I've heard was more of the doing of Mike Mayock, hitting in those later rounds. And then another reason is I think he's going to want too much control. It's like if you quit a job and then that job begged you to come back. Now you have all the leverage, and that's what would happen. If Mark Davis goes back to Gruden and says, hey, I want you to come back, Gruden has all the leverage in the world to get whatever he wants out of this Raiders organization. It could be another 10-year, $100 million contract. Who knows? I don't want a coach to have that much control. I want a GM to come in and hire on his guy, and that GM will hold that head coach accountable for everything that they do. Gruden will come in and demand the control, and unfortunately, Mark Davis will give it to him. So that's another reason why I do not want John Gruden. And then lastly, you got this lawsuit. I mean, there are nothing but reports coming out that John Gruden has information and is willing to take Roger Goodell out and take out some very big names in the NFL. I don't want that drama. The NFL is already against the Raider Nation. They're already against the Raiders. Why would we add fuel to the fire? Please don't. We have enough going against us. The NFL, there will be a target on our back from the NFL, and we don't need more than we already have. So, guys, that's me kind of breaking it down. That's my opinion. Let me know in the comments below. I mean, truly, how do you feel? Do you really think John Gruden can be a successful head coach in this league? And if so, do you think it could be under the Raiders? Let me know. So I appreciate you guys listening to me. Again, please like the video, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and I'll be hitting you soon with more videos regarding our head coaches, future GMs, and we're going into Week 13 against the Minnesota Vikings, so watch out for my scouting report video on our matchup with Minnesota. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm out.